to be convicted for what he should be convicted for, and I'm sure we agree on this, Candace.
Definitely sure we agree on this.
About, trying to overthrow the government of the United States.
You're just not you're not a weak enough person to really I don't buy this. I think you dance this way because you think you have to placate.
Okay, first of all,
no chance.
Just
you
to
think
educate
that we
you.
almost.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Oh, this is a good one. This is a good one. First of all, I like Bill Maher. Even though I don't like his atheism, but I like him. He's a common sense type of guy, okay? He tells it like it is. He speaks his mind. He's very logical, anti-woke, even as an atheist, even though he's got a lot of Christian rhetoric. But I still love the guy because I would say he's a voice for good, all right? when he's not talking about Jesus Christ, he's a voice for good for the most part. Okay, here's the thing. However, Bill Maher has a serious case of TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. When I hear people say this, I know it's somewhat pejorative term, but it is actually a real issue. I'm beginning to realize there's a lot of people who just hate Trump so much that they should be medicated. It's not a good thing. Trump derangement syndrome is a pejorative term, usually for criticism and negative reaction to former United States President Donald Trump. So that's according to Wikipedia. I think that's why Elon Musk is offering Wikipedia $1 million for a year if they would change their name to. That's crazy. And they're melting down. They're having a hard time accepting this. All right. So whatever you say, Wikipedia. But I'm beginning to realize this Trump derangement syndrome thing. Some of these people need to be on a couch. Maybe they need to see a minister so somebody could pray for them. There needs to be some exorcist stuff happening because they have some emotional outbursts and real issues with Trump. Whenever that name is mentioned, they lose their minds. And I think Bill Maher having this discussion with this 8 months pregnant black woman by the name of Candace Owens is a prime example of TDS at its finest. I feel bad for the guy because I'm like, come on, man, you gotta be stronger than that. But listen to the rhetoric. We're gonna talk a little bit, trying to digest the content. I'm gonna put a link in the description below to the full interview. Brace yourself for this one. It gets really interesting.
Christie, when they said, would you support him as the nominee? I mean, that's pretty amazing for a guy who's, probably going to be convicted for what he should be convicted for. And I'm sure we agree on this, Candace.
Definitely sure we agree on this.
About, trying to overthrow the government of the United States.
You're just not you're not a weak enough person to really I don't buy this. I think you dance this way because you think you have to placate.
Okay, first of all,
no chance.
just
you
to
think
educate
that we
you.
almost lost America on January 6th. I just don't buy that you're that soft.
Yeah, I do. And just to educate you a little on this, I was saying this for 5 years when everyone was laughing at me for saying this, that Trump would never concede the election and he would never go away. I was all alone on a raft.
But I mean, you saw BLM riots, right?
Yeah.
The summer leading up to this, right? Where I lived in DC at this time where you couldn't go outside, cars were flipped, things were burned, people were boarding up their windows. Yeah. But you thought the end of democracy, you can say this meaningful human face, happened when people above the age of 65 stormed the Capitol. You thought that was the worst thing you've ever seen in American politics.
Well, I mean, what was the worst thing? That was a small part of a bigger picture. The worst thing was that finally we had a president after all this history that we've had. Nobody ever did this, not Al Gore and not Nixon, who probably didn't actually lose their elections. They allowed this peaceful transfer of power to happen. We finally had a guy who decided, of course, because he's insane, decided that no matter what happens, I won this election. There's only two things that could possibly happen. I win the election, or if I don't win the election, there must have been some cheating. It was looked at by his own people around him, including the Homeland Security Department, including the Director of National Intelligence, including every court, federal and state, including the his own lawyers, his daughter, Bill Barr, everybody told him, you lost this election. They looked at this over and over again. Even the Republican vote counters, like the one he called who said, find me 11,000 more votes. Even those people told him. So plainly, he did not accept losing the election, and then he tried to put in a bunch. This is why he's on trial.
I'm just asking
it's not
if
for
you
lying.
believe that day, as the media presenter, I'm talking about media hoaxes.
I give you my answer. It's not just that day, although that was part of the scheme. I mean, it's not like coincidence that they showed up on the very day that they were certifying the vote at the very place they were doing it to stop that from happening.
And
That's not a
did you have
coincidence.
any questions about why the FBI hasn't been able to find, since we started with media hoaxes, do you think it's strange that they haven't been able to find who dropped off the pipe bombs the night before? Because I think that's the strangest piece.
What pipe bombs? Oh, this is some red herring
No, it's
bullshit.
not. No, not red herring. This is in the news. You can watch the CNN, MSNBC. Remember the night before on January 5th, there were pipe bombs that were set outside of the RNC and the DNC headquarters, right? And this was a part of the whole thing. That bombs were about to go off, but they were able to, get the bombs out. This is why, AOC said she had to fly for all this stuff. So I'm asking you, do you have more pressing questions about why they have not been able to find the person that dropped off those
I will have to look into that the way you'll have to look into the moon thing.
Okay.
Because
I think that's a very big piece for a lot of people of just understanding what actually happened on that day.
As I said before, I don't trust the media on anything because they never give you the full story. Yeah. So I will allow that there could be this element to the story that is part of the story. I don't think it will probably change my mind that Donald Trump would not concede an election, kept saying it was a fake, and that he had all these reasons to believe that people had voted, like 10,000. He said to the Raffensperger on the call, Raffensperger actually corrected him and said, you claimed that there was 10,000 dead people who voted in Georgia. We looked and we looked and we looked. It was 2. That sums it all up. There was actually 2. Now, he's not on trial for lying. You're apparently allowed to lie to the American people about elections, even though nobody ever really did that before. But okay, he's on trial for breaking specific laws. Forgery.
Well, I mean, forgery. Before Stacey Abrams contested her election and said that it was.
Well, that's.
So let's be.
Yes, but okay, you're right. Yeah. I concede.
Okay. Hillary Clinton took a very long time. I don't think she's
Hillary Clinton was there before the night was over in her purple suit conceding the election.
She didn't. She slept in. You're wrong.
No, I'm not
You're
wrong.
John Podesta came to the podium and said,
it was before dawn of the next day.
Okay, my point is that saying that there was
you
that
lost
there were
your point.
No, I didn't lose my point. My point is that you're saying
about Hillary. You were. Hillary conceded as soon as it was obvious that she lost.
The thing that I'm trying to get you to say though, we know that you hate Trump. That has been abundantly obvious.
Yes,
I actually
we do.
think that Trump out of office
for good reason.
Was a good thing for your show because it allowed you to.
It's not about my show, Candace. That's insulting.
No.
That's insulting.
I'm saying because people that weren't watching your show that you didn't let me finish. You can't be insulted by a sentence I didn't finish.
No, but you keep implying
I was going to say that
I'm
people that did not watch your show because there was so much dedication to talking about Trump during those years, then were switched onto your show because you moved on and you started talking about other topics that were crucial and I think brought in more of a conservative base.
Can we
That's
just
not insulting
can we
to say.
just yeah, it is. Can we just have this professional courtesy that I concede and I believe you believe everything you say.
Yeah.
Give me the same courtesy.
I said I believe you hate Trump. And
you're saying I'm doing things for ratings or to bring in a different audience.
I didn't even bring up ratings. I actually believe that literally amongst my audiences, more conservatives started watching you post-Trump.
Yes.
Myself included.
But that's a big...
I'm sorry I said you got a bigger audience now. My gosh, are you going to cry yourself to sleep? More people like me.
No. You ascribed a reason to it that's not true. I do have a bigger conservative audience and a less woke audience probably.
Yeah.
More people who are common sense centrist. Good. Fine. I didn't do it for that reason.
I never said you did it for that reason. I
did
not imply that.
Okay, fine.
I didn't.
All
I genuinely meant what I said.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just say what I really
think. When Trump
think.
got out of office, you started focusing on different topics other than Trump. And people were able to see that.
Well, he wasn't president anymore, of course.
I'm not faulting you. I'm just making a comment that I think that your audience base has gotten a lot bigger since Trump left office. Some people might even take that as a compliment.
Different.
Crazy, but some people might take this as a compliment.
Thank you. Well, for that part, yeah.
Yeah, because you're talking about, like we just talked about, trans kids and bringing up geography and things. And I think that while Trump was in office, and this is not just your show, it was even my show. I think everything was about Trump. everything was about Trump.
I agree.
Right? And it wasn't. It's never been that way for any other president. Never, and not everything was about
Because
Obama.
other presidents weren't a nut like that.
We have definitely. I think I believe that and we can disagree on this. I think that from the second he announced that he was coming down, there was a media obsession with taking him down like I've never seen. It actually woke me up. I was on the liberal side and it turned me into a conservative. It was vicious. It was nasty. It was calling him things that he wasn't.
There
you know,
was,
you
but
didn't participate in that. But pretending that Trump was like a avowed racist that was trying to bring back the Klansmen was a little bit like dramatic, you know?
But that happens with every president and everybody who gets that high up in the tree. You know, when I don't know how far back it goes, probably to George Washington, when a person is the one who's going to be in power, the people who want to prevent that, who think oppositely of how he thinks or she thinks, yes, that's what they do. They try to destroy. They didn't try to destroy Obama.
Not in the way that they come on Trump. You had the Lisa Bloom
please.
period where you had
Candace.
85 million women that came out of the woodwork with allegations. Where were you guys? He's been in the public sphere for the last 30 years. He's had shows. Where were you guys with your allegations before he announced running president? I mean, it was so obviously a ratchet job. And these things matter to you because it doesn't matter.
One of them's on
it doesn't
tape.
matter. It doesn't matter.
All right, we're gonna stop right here. This was like a perfect case of Trump derangement syndrome. I mean, Bill Maher needs some serious help. Like again and again, Candace was trying to actually reason with him. I don't know how well you're gonna do reasoning with Bill Maher. He's a man who is strong in his conviction. Okay, he still believed Jesus Christ was a lie. With all the evidence that Jesus Christ never walked the earth, the whole idea of Jesus is false. Okay, fine. There's more evidence for Jesus than any other historical figure in the world anyway, but nevertheless, we still can't convince him about that. Okay, well, let's just leave that alone. Let's leave the religious stuff alone. The fact that Bill Maher is still having a fit in 2023 about Donald Trump shows that this man needs help. The media propaganda has done his job. And not only that, and I think there's also another side of this thing, it's a failure to see what has been changed. A lot of what the media has said about Trump has been corrected, has been rejected, has been refuted, right? Irrespective of all these factors, he's still talking like this. It's pretty sad. Candace was trying to reason with him, trying to help him to understand. But when you are in that atmosphere, or should I say, in the mindset to hate Trump, when you are under Trump the derangement syndrome, when that has been triggered, I notice a pattern. They cannot think. The moment the name Trump was mentioned in a conversation, he was unable to think as an individual. He was unable. I mean, this is one of the most logical, common sense, anti-woke. The guy who, when he speaks, you're like, yeah, I mean, sure, you may be an atheist, but I like what you're saying. But when it comes to the name of Trump, he's unable to reason. He's unable to process. He's unable. It goes to show that whatever the media has done, or the level of hatred that is in his heart, or the way he perceived Trump as an individual is completely twisted. His worldview is twisted. And he needs help. Somebody say, you might need to lay on somebody's couch. He needs some psychological help, okay? He needs some spiritual help too. Somebody needs to pray for Bill Maher. In our church, what we do, we'll hold your hands. we have the elders surround you. We'll hold your hands and we'll pray. Each one of us will pray for you and say, Lord, help this person out. And we've seen miracles. I think he's in need of that today. I don't know how he has been, for as intelligent as he is, common sense as he is, how as logical as he could be. To hear him talk like that is actually sad. And the reason why I love Bill Maher is because he's a common sense kind of guy. And when he is not talking about Trump, he makes a lot of sense. Anyway, this is sad to watch. I don't know. I want to hear your thought and perspective. This 8 months pregnant woman had to help Bill Maher realize how mentally deranged he is when it comes to Donald J. Trump. He is completely berserk, and he needs some serious, serious help. In the Bible, friends, in the Bible, and you should already know how I roll. In the Bible, that old book called the Bible, written by man, inspired by God, we are living in a time we are ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. This is what we just saw. You can have the truth in your face, and yet you still talking nonsense. Listen, man. Irrespective of how Bill Maher feel and many on the left, I'll tell you what. Donald Trump is probably one of the best things that ever happened to America. I mean, you don't have to like what I'm saying. What I'm telling you, give this about 10 years if we make it, because the climate change people are giving us just a few years left. Okay, these prophets are telling us we only have a few years left to live. But if climate has mercy on us, 10 years from now, we're going to look at our history books. Some of our children are going to read, and they're going to say, man, Trump was good. You know why? Because right now, you cannot see the forest through the trees. It is really difficult to understand the man while you live in the time in which he lives. Oftentimes, most people who are good for society are then noticed after they are dead, after they are gone, after it's all said and done, or after the situation has gotten worse. For example, Trump's popularity has increased because Biden is president. And a lot of people now have to look back when Trump was once president and realize things were better under Trump than they are under Biden currently. And now they're saying, I'm voting for Trump next time. But when he was president, the media propaganda had played a major role in their minds. They were unable to see the light. They were unable to see the truth. It's very similar to what happened to Jesus. You know, as long as he was alive among the disciples, they didn't understand his mission. But the moment he died, resurrected, it's like, oh Lord, yes, you were. And I'm not saying Trump is Jesus, but the point is the perspective, how quickly it could change over time, depending on the circumstances of the moment. People's mind could change. And I think he's going to have a change of mind recently. I think he is struggling because he's realizing a lot of things. He's an honest guy. That's the one thing I give him. I wish he would believe in Jesus, turn away from his sinful life, and receive the gift of eternal life. That's my hope and prayer for Bill Maher. But I really hope Bill Maher wakes up, because I think he's a voice for good in our society, irrespective of how I feel about him religiously. But anyway, this was great. Share your thought and perspective with me in the end. I want to hear from you. I don't know what to do with this guy, man. Anyway, have a good one. Bye.